Hi, this is Dr. Bharadwaz. I am CEO and homeopathy doctor at Fidicus Homeopathy. Today we will discuss on one of the important topics related to autism spectrum disorder or autism. Everyone is confused with this. Is autism a genetic disorder? Is there any link between autism and genetics? So we will discuss depth into it. I will try to keep this conversation as lay as possible in order to deeply understand what are the genetic causes for autism, whether autism is related to genetics. If it is related to genetics, what are all the types of genetic variations you can see in autism? What are all the defects, genetic defects you can see in autism? We need to know something about genetics, very basics about genetics. Okay, we will first discuss about genetics and then come to the causes for those genetic problems. Before we go on to the genetical causes of autism, parents of all the autism kids know only two concepts about genetics. Okay, I will try to explain these concepts as simple as possible. First one is egg and sperm formation. How the egg and sperm are formed. What happens to the genetic material when the egg and sperms are forming? See, here you can see this is a normal human cell. In the normal human cell, you have a gene. Okay, this is a gene. This square one representing a gene. You can see here, this is a human cell. In that human cell, you have a gene. Where is the gene? This is the gene. Whatever is in the box is a gene. So these are the genetic material. This is a gene. This is a gene. In human body, in humans, two genes are present. Okay, one gene you get from the father and one gene you get from the mother, and it forms a pair. It is known as allelic pair. So every human being, I have that, you have that, every human being who is formed will have the two copies of the gene, one from the father and one from the mother. We call it as allelic pair. This is the normal one. So when again from a person or again from a man or a woman, when egg and sperm are formed, this will split and then form the egg and sperm. How? You can see it here. This is the normal cell and it is split into two. So if it is mother, two eggs are formed. If it is father, two sperms are formed. Finally, what happens is it is divided into egg and sperm. Each gene will completely divide. This process is known as meiosis. You don't need to remember the name. This process is known as meiosis. With the help of meiosis, sperm in men and eggs in women contains only single copy of every gene. One in that allelic pair, they will contain only one gene. Okay. Then what happens during fertilization? When egg and sperm meet and form a zygote, again this diploid form is restored. You can see one gene from mother, one gene from father, and in the baby it becomes two genes. So you get one gene from father, one gene from mother, and it becomes complete. This is known as haploid form. This is how our gene works. So normally we have two genes in eggs and sperms. There will be only one gene when eggs and sperm mix to form a baby, and every human being contains two copies of a gene known as allelic pair. This is how we are born and this is how we form sperms and eggs. Okay, this you have to remember. In the further session we will know what exactly happens during this process. Okay, what are the defects that are occurring during this process? Every father and mother of an autistic child should know this. This is one concept. Going to the next concept, there is one more concept known as epigenetics. So these are the two concepts you have to know: how eggs are formed, how sperms are formed, and what is epigenetics. Epigenetics is the latest branch of genetics. It is very new science. We will understand what is epigenetics, and after understanding what is epigenetics, we understand how genes are defective from the perspective of epigenetics. See, epigenetics is a branch of genetics which deals with the activation and inactivation of a gene. So you have 100 genes, only at a time 2% of the genes are active, all 98% of genes are inactive. Basically what I mean to say is you are the representation of only 2% of the genes you have. 98% of your genes are inactive, only 2% of the genes are active. How they are activated and how they are inactivated, we will check. Here you can see this blue wire like one is our DNA. DNA is a genetic material. DNA forms the genes. You can see here, this is the orange part. Think that is a gene. Okay, this is a gene, and you can see these green ones, right? This genetic material is wrapped around the green one. So this is a green one, this is a round one, it is wrapped around it. So our genetic material or DNA material is wrapped around a protein known as histone protein. See, you can see here, it is wrapped around it is like a coil. When these histone proteins are together, see all the histone proteins are together here. So this is not accessible to the external environment. What I mean to say is there will be a mRNA which comes and reads this gene. When these are closed, these are together, that mRNA cannot read this part of the gene due to any external influence. Maybe we will check what are those external influence. For example, you are taking some drugs or you are taking some medication, you have some problem. What happens is this histone proteins will move apart and expose this gene. Okay, how it is happened, you can see here. Here the histone proteins are close, here the histone proteins are apart and leaving this part of the gene naked. Now mRNA can come and read this gene and produce the proteins accordingly and produce its effect accordingly. When the gene is on, means active, mRNA comes, read this and behaves accordingly. When the gene becomes inactive, okay, these histone proteins come together and mRNA cannot read this gene, so this gene is switched off. This is switching off a gene, this is switching on a gene, this is inactive gene, this is active gene. Even though you have these genes, there need to be some activation or they need to be inactivation. How these are inactivated? When these histone proteins come together, mRNA cannot read this gene, so this gene is not expressed. When due to some external influences, these move apart, this gene is exposed, mRNA reads this gene, and what happens? Effects are produced. This is switching off the gene and this is switching on the gene. If you understand these two concepts clearly, now we go into autism and try to autism from the perspective of genetics. We have understood now how the egg and sperms are formed. When the egg and sperms are formed, what happens to the genes within it? For example, first genetic defect, these are new genetic defects. New genetic defects means these defects are formed during the formation of egg or sperm. When the eggs are formed in the mother or when the sperms are formed in the father, these defects can occur. We call them as new defects. Okay, how this happens we will check. First one is deletion, right? In an allelic pair, see there are two genes in an allelic pair, it becomes two eggs or two sperms, two gametes. While forming the gametes, instead of dividing in the middle, what happens is one carries the gene and one is without gene and one is with two genes. Okay, the one without gene is known as deletion. That gene is completely deleted from the egg or sperm. When it takes the allelic pair, a sperm or gene should contain only one allelic pair. When it takes the other allelic pair, then it becomes duplication. Either eggs are divide of the gene, eggs contain double gene of the same allelic pair. This is known as deletion, this is known as duplication. And also one more thing happens, there will be a sequence, right? Genetics is a sequence, it should be in a sequence. When the sequence is inverted while dividing, it something happens, so it becomes up and down, that is inversion of the gene. Here, while formation of the egg and while formation of the sperm, the gene can be deleted, the gene can be duplicated, or the gene can be inversed. Inversed means it becomes upside down. These genetic defects causes autism. Okay, that is one of the reasons for autism. While the formation of new gametes or egg and sperm, a gene can be deleted, a gene can be duplicated, a gene can be inversed, it becomes ups and down while the formation of eggs and sperms. This is one of the risk factors or what happens exactly in the genetics. Okay, we will look into other things now. This is the new gene, right? Now we will discuss about inherited gene. Already father or mother has a defective gene. It is not happening during the formation of egg and sperm. Already the father or mother have a defective gene. Maybe father has some autism or mother has some autism. It is inherited to the kids. When the eggs and sperms are formed, as the father and mother have defective gene, those genes are passed on to the kids. You can see if father is defective or mother is defective, these genes enter the kids and they also become autistic. This is known as inherited genes. This is new variations or new defects in the gene, previous one. Okay, this is the inherited. Already father and mother have the wrong genes or defective genes, that goes to the kids. Okay, this is also one type. These are the two types we have discussed. And what is the third type? That is related to the epigenetics. We will check. You know that this is the epigenetics. Even though you have some genes, maybe those genes are switched on and switched off at the wrong time. The genes which should not be switched on or switched on, the genes which are should be switched off or switched on. What are the reasons for this? We will look into it. Okay, these genes should not be reading, these genes should not be expressed, they will be expressed. These genes should be expressed, but they will not be expressed due to the histone proteins. So due to the switching on and switching off of the genes, that are also related to genes, but it is activation and inactivation of genes. This is known as epigenetics. These are the three types of genetic disorders we see, or genetic defects we see in the autism kids. Now we will look what causes these defects, whether it is epigenetics or it can be new genetic changes. What causes these epigenetic changes or new genetic changes, we will look into it. So what are the reasons? These genetics are mostly influenced by external influences. External influences means these are the various external influences we are going to look now. There is a saying in genetics. What they say is, genetics loads the gun, but environment pulls the trigger. Even though you have defective genes, or even though you have normal genes, those genes will become defective, or those normal genes will be switched off and switched on based on the environment. Environment means what are all the things the kid or the parents of the kid are exposed to. Okay, so what are all this? It can be during pregnancy, it can be before pregnancy, it can be after pregnancy. What are these environmental changes? Okay, viral infections. These viral infections during pregnancy, before pregnancy, can lead to these problems. Bacterial infections, protozoal infections, fungal infections. In the same way, autoimmune disorders. Autoimmune disorders means normally your immune system should identify external organisms as enemies and it should kill it. But in autoimmune disorders, what happens is your body cells will kill your body cells. Your immunity is going to kill your good body cells. That is known as autoimmune disorders. In this, you will see that epigenetic changes or new genetic changes in all these diseases, and also chemicals during, before, or after pregnancy. So medicines are also chemicals, right? Even there is effect of medicines. Chemicals which you are exposed to, food toxicity. If you are taking any toxic foods, unnatural foods, it may also lead to the epigenetic changes or new genetic changes. Even vaccines can cause it. There is ample support for that. Vaccination can cause genetic changes. Ultrasound can cause it. Ultrasound scan which you take during pregnancy, it may also sometimes can cause these changes. Anesthesia given, there are a lot of chemicals. Any chemical, any unnatural chemical you are exposed to, sometimes natural chemical also you are exposed to, can produce these epigenetic changes or new genetic changes we have discussed. Apart from this, there are other reasons also. You can see here, premature birth. Normally, the baby should be born after 9 months, right? If the baby is born before 9 months, it is known as premature birth. It also can lead to epigenetic changes. Low birth weight, even low birth weight can lead to epigenetic changes. Low birth weight means at the time of birth, the kid should be at least 2.5 kgs. If it is below 2.5 kgs, we call it as low birth weight, and low birth weight is one of the reasons. Diabetes, when the mother is having diabetes or pre-diabetic condition or any condition like pre-eclampsia, eclampsia, all these conditions can lead to epigenetic changes in the baby. And also obesity is also one of the reasons for epigenetic changes, and that can cause autism. Next one is PCOS. There are a lot of studies that are happening. Even PCOS or PCOD, polycystic ovarian disease, is linked to epigenetics. And advanced parental age. Previously, all our grandmothers and grandfathers used to marry at very young age, maybe at 13 years or 14 years. Now the parental age is above 30 years. When you marry late, this is also one of the risk factors for epigenetic changes or new genetic changes, and it can cause autism. STEM field, it is very interesting research. STEM field means science, technology, engineering, mathematics. Any person who are in science field, technology field, mathematics field, or engineering, they have some autistic traits, or they have the capacity to produce autistic traits in their kids. This is also well proved. So what I mean to say here is, you have to understand, especially the parents of the autism kids have to understand what is the influence of the genetics. And also one more thing I want to let you know is, autism is not caused due to the defect of one or two genes. There are 500 to 1000 genes that are responsible to produce an autism. That's the reason in every aspect we call autism as a spectrum. It is not one gene or two genes. It is a spectrum of genes. Around 500 to 1000 genes are responsible for producing the autism. That's the reason we call autism spectrum disorder. one of the reasons. This is not only the reason, one of the reason is having multiple genes that can produce autism. Coming to homeopathic treatment, autism has very good treatment in homeopathy. We can prevent the progression of autism. For example, your kid is progressing towards autism. With homeopathic treatment, you can prevent the prognosis, and sometimes you can cure it. I have seen the cases where autism is completely cured, but it happens only in some of the cases. In most of the cases, what happens is autism symptoms can be reduced. Autism kids can be made independent to live on their own, so that we can relieve the symptoms. In all the cases of autism, homeopathy is safe. It will not have even single side effect. It is very effective than compared to any allopathic treatment or English medicine treatment or psychiatric treatment or the treatment you take from a specialist in autism. Homeopathy is the best. It is effective than compared to allopathy, Unani, Siddha, whatever other system of medicine. Homeopathy has very effective in autism. Next, timely, you can see the effects of the medicine on a very quick basis. Within 6 months to 1 year, you can definitely notice the improvements in the symptoms of autism. You can see in timely manner. And why homeopathy is very important? See, as I said, autism is a spectrum disorder. It means it has huge number of symptoms, huge number of causes. Even though a single cause you take, genetic cause, it is also huge number. In the same way, the pathology of autism also different. What happens in the brain of the kid when autism happens is also not similar. If you take 1,000 kids have different pathology or different biological basis for autism in their brain. In the same way, homeopathy offers you hundreds of medicines, maybe thousands of medicines. So homeopathy has around 5,000 medicines. If you combine them with different potencies or different concentration, it is going up to 5 lakhs medicines. In these 5 lakhs medicines, based on the symptoms, you select one or two medicines for every kid. It means if I get 10 different autism kids, their symptoms are different, their expression is different, their causes is different, their pathology is different. So the medicine selected in homeopathy is also different. Homeopathy is individualistic. So this medicine is working only for your kid. If you use same medicine for another kid, it will not work. Such is the importance of homeopathy. We use a spectrum of medicines in homeopathy for the disease which has spectrum of symptoms, and it is spectrum in all the aspects. Try homeopathy for autism. It is very effective. We give two types of consultation for autism. One is online consultation and in-person consultation. In online, you can speak to us in audio or video calls. You can share the reports which you have. If any other reports are needed, you can get locally done and send it back to us. If you are interested in consulting in person, you can inquire about the nearest branch. You can meet our doctors and take the treatment for autism. This is the phone number. You can call or WhatsApp. +91 is the country code for India. 7997101303, or also you can go through our website, that is www.fidicus.com, FIDICUS. And what do you get with Fidicus Homeopathy? Our doctors are passionate, highly qualified, knowledgeable, experienced, competent, and compassionate. This is the expertise of our doctors. And coming to the treatment, we give high quality treatment. The medicines which we are going to give are very high quality, best in the segment medicines we are going to give. And coming to infrastructure, we have latest technology in use, and also we combine it with artificial intelligence to treat you and to guide you. This is the first homeopathic clinic where we are using artificial intelligence in treating autism. Then why Fidicus Homeopathy? You have a lot of clinics and you have a lot of individual doctors or corporate homeopathic hospitals. Why you have to use Fidicus Homeopathy? Because we have the highest chance of health at Fidicus Homeopathy. We have highest success rate for autism compared to any other homeopathic clinic or individual doctor. Our treatment is transparent. So what are all the options you have in that particular case for your particular kid? We will explain it to you. It may be behavioral therapy, it may be speech therapy, or any other things that has to be done. We will give complete transparent information, and it is you to decide whether to take the treatment or not. And you get personal care. Here we will use the technology in the back end, but when we come to managing with the patients, or when we come to contacting you, or how do we speak to you, it is completely personal care. So we will identify you. Not only the doctors, even the staff at Fidicus Homeopathy are very compassionate and they take personal care of you. So Fidicus Homeopathy is the best choice for you. Thank you.